What's going on, everyone? Happy Friday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Friday edition of the Pandemic Update for Friday, October 20th, 2023. That's right. We're more than halfway through October already, which means we are getting closer towards the winter months, meaning the winter surge is going to be coming soon. And in some places, it may already be setting in. First off, let's start off with a headline today. COVID-19 may be worse for those with uncontrolled high blood pressure or diabetes. No surprise here, as several studies have shown that COVID can affect those with diabetes. COVID can cause people to get diabetes who have not had diabetes. COVID can cause heart problems and blood pressure problems. There's several different issues that we have seen with that. So again, this headline is not much of a surprise. Then we come over to this. This shouldn't be much of a surprise to you as well, because it's something we've been seeing happen quite often. Pink forced to cancel concerts due to illness. Doesn't state whether or not she has COVID, but it does say she's suffering a bad sinus infection. So we can only assume that perhaps it was COVID, because remember, like I said the other day, we did that tweet last week or the week before where I said, I wonder why they can't just disclose that it's COVID. But turns out that for legal reasons, many performers can't just go and say, oh, it's COVID, because that might be a violation of their contract, and therefore, they say mystery illness, or in this case, bad sinus infection. And we do know a lot of people who have had COVID lately have been stuck with a bad sinus infection after their case of COVID. So who knows? But once again, that's Pink, forced to cancel concerts due to illness. Then we come over to this. Schools cut COVID-19 sick days by 20% using HEPA filters. This is in the United Kingdom. So interesting. Suddenly you use HEPA filters in school, and the number of sick days, people calling out sick, teachers, students not showing up, students being absent, 20% reduction, because they generate clean air. Cleaner air carries less virus, which results in less infection. So yes, HEPA air purifiers in schools, like we've been saying all along, work. We need more investment in this in the United States. There was supposed to be investment in it, but I don't know what happened to that. I mean, there's a few schools doing it, but not many. I mean, hardly any have the proper HEPA filtration systems in schools. If we did, trust me, this 20% reduction would also be seen here in the United States, but we fail to acknowledge that COVID is still a big deal, and quite frankly, it's a huge problem. You are told by the media, by the CDC, by the government that, oh, COVID, it's not such a big deal anymore. It's just mild now. We can treat it like other colds. Folks, that's not true. The whole 5 days and you're good to go rule, no, that's not true. I see posts on social media. People I know, like for example, when my dad had COVID, it was not 5 days and he was good to go. He got it when he was in Germany. Then he came back, and there was about another 6 to 10 days, 10 days, that he was still he was not better here. He was still coming up positive. I mean, it was well beyond the 5-day period. And now this whole bit they're saying, oh, well, it's mild now. Folks, I know someone who is positive right now, a friend who is positive right now. They tested positive last week. I want to say last Thursday, last Wednesday, last Thursday. They started feeling sick like Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. Then Thursday of last week, we'll just say they tested positive. To this day, they are still sick, and they are feeling worse now than they did then. They have no appetite. They have lost a ton of weight during the time since they tested positive for COVID, and they are just feeling lousy right now. Does that sound mild to you? Constant coughing, throwing up, all these different symptoms, losing weight, not feeling like eating. I'm sorry, that doesn't happen from something that's quote unquote a mild cold now. COVID is not a cold. COVID affects everyone differently. It may affect you one way, it may affect me another way. I don't want COVID, but I'm just stating some people may fare well and get nothing at all. Other people who could be perfectly healthy could end up getting very sick. That's how this works. It's at random. It affects everyone differently. A big part of that is because of viral load. We can reduce viral load. We can reduce viral load with infections. Mask and HEPA filters. You just saw a study that shows right here that shows that 20% sick days were cut in schools over in the UK, in schools that have HEPA filtration, clean air. Clean air works, masking works. The studies that say, oh, well, maybe masking doesn't, that's a bunch of hogwash just to try and make everything look as normal as possible. Masking and clean air work. Moving on. Speaking of clean air, let's take a look at the air qualities for today. Let's see what's going on. And you're going to see some poor qualities in a number of places. First off, yeah, really bad. In California, it's just not getting any better with these wildfires or anything. You can see here, this red, it's maroon. That's not good. Washington State, there's a lot of yellow now. Generally, anywhere on the West Coast, west of the Las Vegas area, it's just bad air qualities. A little bit of bad air qualities in Minneapolis. Then we come down here to the Carolinas, right on up into Pennsylvania. There's a strip here of yellow. That's something to be concerned about. The big system that's going to be developing in the Northeast, that's going to drive in some northwest winds and hopefully push this out and maybe bring in some better air quality. But, though, we note again, Minneapolis, there's some yellow as well. So if you're an asthma, allergy sufferer, COPD, and you live in any of these areas, please take extra caution. Have your inhalers at handy. Mask if you go outside. Make sure your portable nebulizer or oxygen that you may use is at the ready. Taking a look here at the heat-related illnesses, not a whole lot to talk about. There's still a few out there, but eventually we are going to X this from what we show, at least until the spring, or unless, there's a rare winter warm-up, with climate change that can happen, and we see a lot of heat-related illnesses. Let's take a look at Walgreens. Walgreens this week, the national positivity is 26.2%. The prior week is 26.4%. That's down 0.3%. 11,656 tests this week, which is up from last week's 10,921. Taking a look at some wastewater data here. Now, we're going to do a full wastewater update Sunday afternoon, but what we do want to take a look at is these new numbers, which just updated. New sites, 198, and that's actually a false number. All these white sites in Ohio, maybe one or two of them are new, but trust me, they've been there. I don't know why that happened. It's unexplainable. 0 to 19% COVID detected, 6 sites. 20 to 39% COVID detected, 22 sites. 40 to 59% COVID detected, 30 sites. 60 to 79% COVID detected, 19 sites. 80 to 100% COVID detected, 6 sites. Moving on now, let's just do one of these wastewater scan sites today, shall we? Because we do have some new data to show, as it is on Friday, so we do get the update out of California. How about today, we just do somewhere in Iowa, shall we? And what's going on in Coralville, Iowa? We can see high levels of COVID, though dropping. The overall trajectory is now dropping. Influenza is low, RSV is low, HMPV is low, norovirus is medium, moderate, and rising. So that is not good to see. Moving on now. VEX variant update will not be today, but next week. EG.5 leads at 23.6%, HV.1, 19.5%, FL151 is at 13.5%, XBB 116.6 is at 10.3%. Now let's take a look at this week's hospitalizations, and I have to refresh this. It is supposed to update today. It did. COVID-19 hospital admissions in the past week, 16,158. That is down yet again from the previous week. Not as big of a drop, but it is down. I suspect there's going to be a flip, probably at some point in November, where it starts going back up again. And it says data through October 14th, though, was updated today. So there is quite a bit of a lag in this data. New Jersey, hospitalizations for the time being continue to drop. 514 people in the hospital, 22 people on a ventilator in the ICU, 62 in the ICU, 69 out of 70 hospitals reporting. Now crossing the river over into Philadelphia, slightly higher EMS calls today. 761, I think that's the highest number we saw this week. Let's take a look here for EMS calls. Let's see what the day before featured. Yeah, it was 716 on Tuesday. What was Wednesday? Wednesday was 733. So yes, this is the highest number that I have reported in a few days. Taking a live look in at Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Again, it's not always about the number of calls. Sometimes it's the type of calls, and I see some bad ones here. Respiratory emergency, respiratory emergency, respiratory emergency, stroke, cardiac emergency, diabetic emergency. That's not good to see those type calls. How about Chester County, Pennsylvania? We have to refresh this. Not too bad in Chester County. Not a lot of calls. There are a few sick calls, and those are never good. Heart problems, unconscious person, not good, but not too busy. So overall, both counties at this very moment are not very busy, and that's been the case throughout the day, though I will admit in the Abington area I saw quite a few ambulances this morning. All right, now moving up to New York State. 1,827 new cases in the last 24 hours, very similar to yesterday's number. And look at this chart here. Hospitalizations in New York State, they continue to fall quite a bit. Now down to 1,291. Remember, the peak of the summer wave was 1,711. I suspect the next wave that sets in will have a higher peak than 1,711, may even hit 2,000, but for the time being, they're dropping, and we can only hope that continues. We know Texas this week was kind of not changed very much over the previous week. 9,531 cases this week. The previous week was 9,753. Deaths were up slightly. That's never a good thing. 72 versus 64. Hospitalizations dropped slightly below 1,000 to 998. And now, wait for it, here it comes. California. Kind of some bad news out of California. When we take a look at the chart here, you can see here, first off, the positivity rate in California is 7.1%. But look what's happening at the end of the chart for this week. There is a bit of an increase in positivity. So the next wave, this may be the very early stages of the winter wave. And you can see that here. You can see it started rising a little bit last week. And then this week, yeah, it's really starting to get the ball rolling. And Halloween is right around the corner. And we do know that Halloween, it features parties, it features kids trick-or-treating. And unfortunately, you know, maybe there's some elderly people that, ooh, I'm going to give out candy to the kids. And maybe they don't do it wearing a mask. And then they catch COVID. Yeah, so the next couple weekends is a lot of Halloween parties. So, yeah, I think this is the beginning stages here. It's only a matter of time till other states start to follow along. We can go back here. What was it? Colorado? Yeah. Colorado, we know Colorado hospitalizations started rising again, which if their hospitalizations are rising, cases, positivity rates are also rising because you need them to start rising in order for hospitalizations to rise. And it's clearly happening, so that is not a good thing. And now let's take a look at LA County. Not really much to talk about with LA County. However, we are seeing a similarity to California in LA. You can see here, might be cut off a little bit, but you get the point. It's rising for the positivity in LA as well. Let's see, can I open this image in a new tab? Maybe that would make it easier. There you go. Look at this. You can clearly see here that LA positivity at this time, yeah, it's starting to rise. It's matching what's happening in the rest of the state of California. And remember, if LA is rising, that's bad news. LA has a huge population. Like millions of people live in the Los Angeles metro area. So to see their positivity starting to rise, that's not a good thing. Cases will follow. Hospitalizations will follow. And so on. You know the deal. Going back to California just for a brief second. The average daily of hospital admissions is 248. Deaths are 19 daily average deaths. That death number is actually not dropping at this point. You can see here, it's remained pretty consistent. And this week, on the very last bar here on the chart, it's actually a little bit higher, so that's a little bit concerning. Let's take a look at some international data, shall we, and see what's going on there. First off, United States, it says down 39%. It could be because we only just have a handful of states that are once again rising. The majority of states are dropping. And Russia at this point, up 4% on cases, up 72% on deaths, 43 versus 25. Singapore, cases down 9%. Germany, cases up 3%, deaths up 18%. Canada, cases now down 9% after rising earlier in the week. Same with deaths, down 3%. Romania, cases down 21%. Deaths now up 24%, 46 versus 37. Taking a look at Poland, cases continue to rise there, up 45%, up 500% now on deaths, 6 versus 1. I don't know if Poland updates every day. They may be a weekly update. Feel like we've been saying that 45% a lot. Nonetheless, Poland is rising. Bulgaria, up 5% on cases. Deaths are down 24%, 16 versus 21. Then you come down here to Chile, up 27%. Switzerland, up 21%. Neither of those countries reported deaths. Iran, cases up 29%. Deaths up 69%. 44 versus 26. Also some places dropping. Australia, according to this, cases are down 85% and deaths down 83%. Ireland, cases now down 22%. Deaths down 65%. And Finland, cases are down 28%. Deaths are now down 95%. Just one this week versus 19 the previous week. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's pandemic update. Things to look out for this weekend. We're going to get that staffing shortage video out tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to also do a pandemic update. Stay tuned. It depends on how much news there is and data. And then Sunday, look for the wastewater update video. Alright, that does it for today's pandemic update. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you want more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. If you know anyone that needs to see this information because they feel that it's over with and they've moved on with their life and that COVID's not a big deal anymore, wrong. Send them this way. They need a refresher and a reminder of what they're not seeing on the news, what they're not hearing from the media, the CDC, the government. They need to be told the truth, and that's what I'm here for. Alrighty, folks, I will see you all again next time. Until I see you again next time, stay safe, everyone. Have a fantastic Friday, and have a safe weekend. Thanks for watching.